Oh man, Happy New Year, people. Happy New Year to you guys. And I want to welcome you to the very first Ready, Set, Go of 2022. In this show, we are going to talk about a $500,000 comic book sale, the greatest comic book story ever, potentially coming to a big screen, the return of Miracle Man, and also we're going to do a comic book giveaway. That and more. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is a show that we do on Sunday night to come together as a comic book community and spend some time just enjoying one another's company. And as I look at myself on that screen, I have a bluish hue going on, so I need to kind of fix that. I don't know why I looked blue, but I certainly did. I think that it has gone away. The 2022 clearly is not off to a good start, people. If we show up blue for no good reason on the camera, but I do want to welcome you guys to the first show of the year. I definitely appreciate everybody showing up all early and hanging out with one another and getting the conversation going. As I alluded to, we are going to spend some time talking about several things that have found their way to my computer screen, things that are top of mind for me and might also be top of mind for you. And we're going to get to the first of those items here ahead. But before I do that, I want to give you guys a heads up of some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel starting tomorrow. We have 3 pre-recorded videos that are going to be coming out, and of course, 1 live stream. I got some stuff for Christmas and I was confused. Let's just say that this box showed up. There was confusion that ensued. Yeah, so stay tuned for that video because that's going to be coming after a severe hiatus. We are actually going to do another Blue Ocean spec video. It has been quite some time since we've done one of these. Shout out to Doug for his patience in dealing with me with not doing this video. But we're going to do that video this week. And then we're also going to have a hunting surprise. I went on a comic book hunt and I had some surprises, and I will not tell you whether they were pleasant surprises or unpleasant. You will have to watch the video to find out. Those videos are going to be coming out Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Wednesday, we're going to be doing a live show, the Comics Today show. This is a show that we have been doing for roughly 50 some odd weeks. We're going to do that on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I definitely want to encourage you guys to check out those videos and live streams. In addition to that, I'm going to be dropping a podcast on Monday. There were some things that were said during the last live stream that caused my brother to send me a message this morning around 6:30 a.m. as he was editing the podcast, laughing hilariously to himself. He had to remind me what it is that I uttered because things just fall out, and I keep it rolling. So hopefully you guys will check out the podcast. It is available on your favorite podcasting platforms. I was speaking to my wife a lot over this break because I've been off of work, and she was telling me this earlier yesterday that Joe Rogan has 50 million listeners on Spotify. That is a ridiculous number of people listening to someone. I'll be honest with you. I loved him on Fear Factor. Love some Joe Rogan on Fear Factor. 50 million people listening to him, which I think is just bananas. Someone just made note of something that I have on my comic book wall. I think the comment from Chris Bigger, man, that wall is on fire, which is probably why I'm throwing that blue hue back there to tone it down just a little bit. Joe Rogan is great, says Milt. But the reason that I bring up some of the books that are on the wall back there is that there is one book. There is one book that is on fire. There are some reports out there that the comic book market as a whole is starting to cool off. People have been sharing not necessarily data with me, but insights with me from data that they have been collecting and looking at that essentially shows that the market is starting to slow down and cool off. which is not necessarily a bad thing. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if we're going to get back to pre-2019 prices, but I think that if we can cool things down a little bit, I think that that bodes well for a lot of people out there, whether you're a buyer or seller, right? I mean, a normalization of the market is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a healthy part of the market. But there are still sectors of the market that are incredibly hot. And we have seen some record breaking sales over the last little bit for various comics. Amazing Fantasy 15, Superman #1 kind of set a record. Action Comics #1 has set a record in recent memory, and now we are getting some information about a private sale that took place regarding one of the books that is on my wall back there. And it was honestly one of the harder books for me to actually put my hands on it. We are, of course, talking about Hulk #1. Hulk #1 sells for an incredible $500,000. It sold for $490,000. And that, I'm guessing, is before taxes and before any fees due to the auction house. So it was probably over that. But you can see there, a collector buys a rare, very fine, near mint 9.0 graded copy, a CGC 9.0 graded copy of Incredible Hulk #1, making this book the most expensive copy of that comic ever sold. And I do believe that there are 7 graded comics higher than this 9.0, but this is setting a record. One of the few high grade copies of 1962's Incredible Hulk #1 in existence has been bought for nearly $500,000, making it the most expensive copy ever sold. The sale, facilitated by Comic Connect, was initiated by an unknown collector. Unknown collector, if you happen to be watching this, I want to be your friend. I just want to hold your book, brother. The site's chief operating officer, Vincent, touched on the comic's rarity, saying high-grade copies of Hulk 1 are notoriously hard to find due to the cheap paper used and the smudging of the gray color on the front cover. And this thing goes on to basically talk about that this was a CGC graded 9.0. They say here, where is that section? He says that the new owner of this book now owns a special piece of American mythology that will continue to gain in value. It will be a cornerstone of his collectible investment portfolio. Hulk will only get bigger with time, but I'm bumped. Hulk will only get bigger with time, if you know what I mean. That is a dad joke right there. And I think at some point in here, it actually says that there are a handful of copies that are actually graded higher than this book. But again, we are looking at a $500,000 comic that has been sold to an unknown collector. And shout out to him. So my point here was that while it appears that the overall market may be slowing down, may be cooling off, there are sectors of the market like the investor grade level comics that are still seem to be doing really well. And we spoke about this, Doug and I, several months ago, I think, where we talked about the fact that the rich and ultra rich are looking for alternative forms of investment to park their money. And they've looked at, gems and precious metals, and they've looked at cars and wine and all real estate, and comics too are starting to become a more respectable form of investment. And this potentially is evidence of it, because in my head, if you have $500,000 to spend on a comic, you are probably doing incredibly well. And you are not hurting. You are not hurting for cash. You know what I'm saying? But I just thought that this was an interesting piece of news that I wanted to share with you guys. Let me go. Oh my goodness. Talk about a dad joke. Pretty fly for a Filipino. Come on, brother. Which Hulk do you shower with? Come on, brother. That Oh my goodness. That is a dad joke like nobody's business. Yule, where's Yule? Yule's up in here. Scrolling down. I don't know about respectable, but they got money to say, hey, brother, they can probably set some money on fire and not even care about it in any way, shape, or form. What is that? Imagine trading a comic for a house. It depends upon one's house, brother. It depends upon one's house. But yeah, you could, given the right scenario and location in the country, you could indeed trade in a comic for an actual living vestibule. Well, not a vestibule, but you know what I mean. So very, very interesting, man. Very interesting. What is that? Dave bought ASM 30. I bought Atlas. Oh, that's a separate conversation. Scrolling through some of the comments here. I hey, check it out. If you find somebody that is willing to take that deal, I will triple it. I will triple it 3 for 1. 3 Turox #1 for any grade Hulk one. Somebody said the other day in the comment section, and I think I knew what the person was trying to say, but within the context of the video that was done, this person was essentially saying that you could buy, ASM 1, Amazing Fantasy 15, Hulk 1, Fantastic Four 1, low grade for $500. And I was like, I know what you mean, but within the context of this video, what you are saying is that you can get those books for $500. And I'm like, if you find that type of deal, please call me because I want to be in on that kind of action. The person's point was definitely very different than that. But what is it? A couple of comments from the Pittsburgh brothers or the Pittsburgh crew. Milt says in Pittsburgh, that would buy 3 houses. Matt Wood says $500,000 is a very nice house where I live. There you go. It all depends on perspective. You take $500,000 to California, certain parts of California. I looked at this house one time and it was well over this price. It was well over the price of a Hulk one. I looked at this house and this house had a hole in the ceiling in the living room. I stood in the living room next to somebody's nasty lazy boy, and I literally could look up and outside. That house was selling for way more. Again, it depends upon one's perspective. But yes, imagine that. Imagine being able to say, here is a comic and I'll take that house right there. There you go. Neo, how you doing, brother? He says blue chip keys are doing just fine. There you go. Barbarian Kung Fu says only if it's a gold. Ooh, you talking big language over there, the gold foil. Oh my goodness. It's amazing. It's amazing how one comic could invoke such emotions and response in people like Turok is your #1. That's what's hey, be careful. Be careful. Let's not talk about the Hawk or Sleepwalker, okay? Turok is fine. You make fun of Turok. You don't make fun of the Hawk, okay? That's where we draw the line here, Steve White. That is where we draw the line, my friend. Scrolling through, what is that? Randy's like, I buy AF-15 low grade for $500 any day, brother. I'm scraping together every $500 that I can find. You know what I'm saying? If only time machines were possible. That well said. If only time machines were possible, I'd definitely be on board. Hey, you guys live in some great places. In Cali, that won't get you 2,000 square. Brandon, you know what I'm talking about, brother. You know what I'm talking about. I had this friend one time. His friend lives in San Francisco. He was having a house built. By house, I mean he was having an apartment built. This apartment, if memory serves, was I want to say it was less than 1,000 square feet. This thing was incredibly expensive. I mean, just expensive for no good reason. I'm like, brother, there are so many other places that you could live for the number that you just told me that you were paying for 1,000 square feet. It is crazy. $500,000 in Cali. Well said. It is brutal. It is brutal out where I am, or where I've been, I should say that. So, Madam Blaster, it was good to see you. Thank you for stopping by for a couple of minutes and making fun of Matt Woods for that joke. Or was that Matt? No, Pretty Fly for Pretty Fly's joke right there. So scrolling through, be careful. Be careful. Scrolling through the comments here, you guys need to be careful when you talk about Sleepwalker. Uh, in certain parts of Ohio, yes, you could literally get the entire block and maybe a couple of people along with it. Scrolling down scrolling down through the comments. All right, hey man, whoo, woo. I'm gonna be honest with you, Chuck. It would be hard. It would be hard to let go of a 9.0 Hulk 1, even though I do need that garage, brother. As I dodged multiple bikes and boxes that my kids were playing with in the garage earlier today, Hulk 1 is 9.0, still a hard thing. So for anybody that came in a little bit late, we very quickly talked about the fact that there has been a record-breaking sale of Hulk issue number 1. This comic has sold for $500,000. It is a 9.0 copy, making this book the most expensive copy of this issue ever sold, which is a tremendous amount of money. Comic Link actually conducted this sale between a private seller and I'm guessing a private collector as well, because we don't know this person, but it is an amazing book. I wish that they had maybe shown us a photo of it or something like that. It would have been nice. It would have been nice to actually see what a 9.0 Incredible Hulk actually looks like. I'm certain that we can find it online, but it would have been cool. This article, if folks want to dig into, was actually on CBR.com. So again, just a quick little recap for folks that came into the chat a little late. Let me scroll down and make sure I am all caught up. Would you? No. Absolutely not. You knew wait a minute, where'd that comment go? There was a comment here from where'd it go? From Milt. Would I ever? No, absolutely not. Do you know what my wife would do to me, brother? No, I believe in paying cash for stuff, to be honest with you. I believe in paying cash for things. If I don't have the cash, then I will just wait. I would just wait, but I'm certain that there are people out there that do it. That is just not my bag. And I'm pretty confident. And Milt, this is not what you're saying, but I want to make this point. I'm pretty sure that this person that bought this Hulk 1 for $500,000 did not finance it either. I have a feeling that they just wired the money right over and just did not look back. I mean, do you like fly in to get that book? Do you go pick that book up, or do you send people, or does Comic Link just charter a plane and send it to you? Like what kind of service, what kind of white glove service do you get for a $500,000 comic? Garage with the comic book room workout gym for a Hulk 1. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, brother. If my wife knew I was sitting on that kind of cash, she'd be like, yeah, that book's gotta go. That book's gotta go. She's like, you could probably get you a nice 2.0. Get you a nice 2.0. Sell this 9.0. Let's build this garage, and you can still enjoy Hulk 1 just several grades lower. But yeah, that would probably be an easy decision, to be honest with you. So scrolling down in the comments here. Man. How how high would the mattress have to be to accommodate a $500,000? You know what I'm saying? Like if you've ever had a large sum of money, and it doesn't really what that large sum is, it actually doesn't constitute a whole lot of space. You know what I'm saying? So $500,000 and big bills, it's like a sheet. It might be like it might be a warm sheet, but it might be like a sheet scrolling. Somebody better bring that book to. I heard that, man. What did Dio say? If you're paying for a book, you have people to go that, hey, you are probably right. They were probably like, hey, let somebody wire that chump change over the Comic Link for this thing, and then go get on the plane to go get it. That was probably the gist of the conversation. Because if you have that much money, you are not missing meals, and you have people who do things for you. And it must be nice. It must be it must be nice to have that kind of cash. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to that person again. If you happen to be watching this for whatever reason, I just want to be your friend. Just reach out to me. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'll fly out to see you. You don't need to come now. I'll fly out. If you have that kind of cash, I just want to come and hang out. So over the last couple of weeks, we have spent some time talking about the greatest stories of all time. We looked at the greatest DC stories, we looked at the greatest Marvel stories, we looked at the greatest of all time, right? Both Marvel, DC, independent, all comers. And there was a book. There was a book that showed up on the greatest DC list in the first spot. It showed up on the greatest of all time in the seventh spot. This book is now being talked about for a possible movie. And we are, of course, talking about Kingdom Come. Now, what's interesting about this is that the person that is talking about Kingdom Come has not even finished producing the movie that he is currently working on right now. We are talking about the producer for Black Adam. This guy is dropping all kinds of hints, basically saying it would be a dream to actually work on bringing Kingdom Come to life. And he hasn't even finished Black Adam, but they are making some big promises and big claims around Black Adam and its production quality. And I have no doubt that $7 and Dwayne The Rock Johnson are going to do an incredible job with Black Adam. But here you go. This is on comicbook.com. Black Adam producer wants to make Kingdom Come movie. This came out just a couple of days ago. Let me see if I can find it. It says, in July 2022, audiences are set to be treated to a whole new corner of the DC Films universe when Black Adam makes its debut in theaters. And it talks about the fact that this blockbuster film will bring to life The Rock's take on the DC anti-hero along with heroes from the Justice Society of America. And it talks about the fact that we're still months away from actually seeing anything about this, but the guy Garcia, the producer, the Garcia, sat down with Collider and spoke about what he would like to do, which is to bring Kingdom Come to life. And it says, look, I think the dream project, that's something we've always spoken about at $7. And this is the production company for The Rock. We would love to make someday, which is a tougher ambition due to obviously IP and rules and so forth, but always been obsessed with Kingdom Come. And this quote is a little convoluted, but the gist of it is like, it would be amazing to bring this to life. And he's like, I've always admired the story of the juxtaposition of the old school heroes versus new school heroes and how they clash in a world so divided in terms of how they view what is justice now and what it should be. So Kingdom Come, man, again, has shown up on so many different lists over the last couple of weeks. It is now being talked about. This is not to say that it's ever actually going to happen, but it's interesting. It's interesting the timing of some of these things. And when we talked about the fact, I jokingly made comments about manipulation of the list. I was honestly just jokes, but it may just be coincidental that Kingdom Come is showing up on all these lists and is now being talked about by this producer. Or it could be some really awesome planning, right? You never know how quickly some things can come together, how quickly somebody can get in front of a reporter to make some comments, to piggyback on some things that are actually naturally happening out in the market. But let's just say stay tuned. Let's just say stay tuned for some Kingdom Come related stuff from the channel. Again, you never know how quickly people can put stuff together to be able to take advantage of it. Yeah. I think it was Mark Wade and Alex Ross are the two that actually worked on it. They put it together. Hustle says, I don't trust anything DC makes. Well, thankfully, this will be done by $7 and not by DC. So, but the truth is, could they actually make it? It depends. It depends on whether they can strike a deal between Warner Brothers and $7. But the fact that they're making Black Adam might be a sign that there could be a path forward, especially if Black Adam is incredible. So when it does, multiple copies will be purchased. Learn from Venom 3 mistakes, says Almighty Liger King. Scrolling through the comments, if they do what is that? Mark is getting on the board here saying John Favreau has to be on it if they do Kingdom Come. I can see a Flash movie working since Flash will be introducing a new Supergirl. Yeah, it is 4 parts. It is 4 parts. They are actually pretty nice copies, pretty nice square bound books, in fact. But it's a 4 part series. It also comes as a graphic novel as well. So scrolling through some of the comments here. Hey Richard, thank you, brother, for stopping by. Definitely appreciate it. Milt says, I love the artwork in Kingdom Come, but don't think it would translate to the screen. You know what, Milt? I'll be honest with you, man. Well, let me not do that. Let me not do that. What I would say is if you have a talented enough crew, I think that if they make certain modifications, tweaks, and adjustments, it could potentially work. Would it be like the Old Guard versus the Old Guard comic? Probably not, right? Because if you guys have ever read the Old Guard from Image and seen the show on Netflix, that is like a direct lift. Like the comic is almost a perfect script for the movie. I don't think that Kingdom Come would readily be applied that way, but I think that if they use the source material the same way that the MCU uses the source material, right? Where it makes sense, they use it. Where it doesn't, they tweak it, they modify it, they adjust it to make it work. I think that it could be awesome. And again, I don't want to get ahead of myself with some other things. I gotta get some other stuff out to you guys before I say any more. Action Figure is saying Kingdom Come will be challenging to do it right on the big screen. So scrolling through, it was an epic tome, was it? It was an epic tome, no doubt. Let me see. I bought a couple of books from a friend this weekend, and he showed me his set of Kingdom Come. It looked awesome. That's because Alex Ross is super talented. I think Kingdom Come was done back in 1996. I think it was 96, and Alex Ross, who is primarily as of the last few years been known for his covers, was actually still doing interior pages back in 1996. And so this book, which I think he kind of helped create, I know that he was the artist, but I also think he helped create it. It was a solid artistic piece of content. And I think he is also now Alex Ross going to be doing some interior pages for something else that is actually coming up. Brandon Keefe is getting on board. He's co-signing. Matt Woods is basically saying the art in the comic Kingdom Come was so good. Oh yeah, you brother, you might need to circle back to that friend. What, Jeff, what did you buy, brother? I think I saw something from you on Instagram like yesterday, maybe today. You made some pretty awesome purchases of something. And for the moment, it's not coming back to my mind, but I know, I do believe you picked up something pretty awesome. So I will say congratulations to you. The hardcover of Kingdom Come series is real nice. I do not know that I've seen that. So if you guys, if you've seen that, Mark, if you can post that up in the Discord or send me a message on Instagram, I would definitely appreciate it. I'd like to see that. Let me see. I am way behind on comments here, but Action Figure comment is getting it. He says it would have to be pretty different in execution, although similar in spirit. Oh, Spectre. Oh, well done. I don't think that was your intention, but I like it. Scrolling through, Doug is getting on the board here. He says original Kingdom Come series seems undervalued from a print comic FMV perspective, movie or not. What is it doing in terms of value? I have never actually looked it up, to be honest with you. I have never done that. So I'm curious. I'm curious what it looks like. Same but different, says Chris Bigger. This guy's like the master of words. It needs to be the same but different. Just wow, and so insightful. Scrolling through the comments, Glenn, happy new year to you, brother. Welcome to the live stream, my friend. Scrolling through some of the comments here because I am way behind. What is that? Yeah, brother, there were so many characters, like so many characters in this one. I mean, next generational characters as well. It would be interesting to see how they decided to kind of move some things around. So scrolling through, thank you, Action Figure Comedy, for getting on the board, sharing that information. Let me see. Okay, I'm actually all caught up. So Mojo is putting some stuff out here. He says, I'm seeing full sets of Kingdom Come for $25 to $30 on eBay, which is crazy. But again, I've been thinking a little bit about this as of late. And somebody made this point, so it's not exactly an original thought, but we tend to connect the value of comics directly to what actually happens with a movie or a TV show. And I don't quite know why. I don't quite know why we do that. You know what I'm saying? So, Kingdom Come, arguably one of the greatest stories of all time, depending upon one's perspective and one's point of view, is selling for 25 to 30 bucks, full set, all 4 books, fantastic artwork, fantastic story, selling for that kind of money. Should its price go up just because someone talked about potentially making a movie? It's interesting. Or should it go up just because it is arguably one of the best comics ever written, according to some people? Think about it. Think about that. I don't know the answers. I don't know the answers to that. Scrolling through, prices aren't expensive, says Almighty Liger King. Scrolling through some of the comments here. All right, so I think we've beaten that horse to death. But again, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this Black Adam movie. I am a fan of The Rock, and Black Adam is set to be released in theaters on July 29th of 2022. And again, we don't know if this Kingdom Come movie will ever be made. But I think it's awesome to kind of hear some people talking about possibly bringing it to the screen. So time will tell where all of that actually plays out. All right. So one of the things that I forgot to do earlier today was, or earlier in this live stream, is that I actually am going to be releasing a video featuring some Blue Ocean spec books. And as part of that release, so this video will come out this week. As part of that, I wanted to share this piece of information with you guys. Regie here, and I want to give you a chance to win some really awesome books simply for watching content from my channel. I'm going to be releasing a Blue Ocean speculation video soon, and simply for watching that video and leaving a comment behind, you will have an opportunity to win some awesome books that have been showcased in previous installments of this series. The very first book is Dazzler issue number 6, and this contains possibly one of the first appearances of Dungeons and Dragons in comics. The second book, Raiders of the Lost Ark issue number 1. And the third book is Marvel Premiere featuring Wonder Man issue number 55. There are a total of 4 books that are going to be given away. I'm only showing 3 because the 4th book is actually going to be premiered in the video that will be released. Good luck. How about that? Oof, did you see me change shirts that fast? Woo, that boy, woo, that boy is fast. No doubt about that one. Shout out to Doug for hooking us up with those books. We're going to be giving those things away here. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned for that video that is going to be dropping this week. So you have an opportunity to win some of those Blue Ocean spec books. And again, that surprise book will actually be shown in the video. The very last thing that I want to talk about before I get to the actual giveaway that we're going to do in this live stream is I want to talk about Miracle Man. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is not a character that I know much about at all. And the character was originally created as like the UK version of Captain Marvel. We're talking about the Shazam Captain Marvel, not the Brie Larson Captain Marvel. But this character was created back in the day and was then touched by some pretty talented creators, specifically Alan Moore and also Neil Gaiman. They had their shot at creating some comics featuring this character. And I think the character was actually dormant for a period of time. Marvel actually purchased the intellectual property for Miracle Man or Marvel Man, depending upon how you want to refer to him, back in 2019. And there have been, over the years, all types of rumors about them bringing the character back, them re-releasing some of the original comics that were written by, I think it was Alan Moore back in the 80s. They were talking about reprinting those. But that never happened. It never materialized. And now we are starting to get some teases that Marvel may actually do something with this character. And so this is an article that I actually found on CBR, and it talks about Marvel teasing Miracle Man's universe reshaping impact. And I'm not going to go into this article in its entirety. You guys can actually read it. But Miracle Man was teased in the Timeless issue #1 that I think came out recently. Some of you may have picked this thing up, but there was like this image that was actually shown of the double M for Miracle Man or Marvel Man, depending upon how you want to look at it in this comic. I think it was on the face of a clock or something like that. But the character may actually be coming back. I think that they're actually going to be doing an omnibus. Marvel's going to be releasing an omnibus of some previous issues. Finally, they say that's going to happen. And then we don't know. We don't know what's actually going to happen, what the future holds for this character. But I will tell you, I am actually going to probably read this comic. I have had a lot of copies of this in the collection. I gave a lot of the #1s away as part of different Patreon giveaways that I was doing over the last couple of years. I think I have an entire long box full of Miracle Man. Like there's nothing in there but Miracle Man, and I have never read a single issue. I've never read a single issue of it, but Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, two incredibly talented creators. Maybe Miracle Man will take a more active role in the Marvel universe. So I'm like, maybe I should go read that, right? Because that's part of what I've been doing as of late is there's been all of these wonderful comics that are popping up on lists that are like the greatest of all times or the best DC, the best of Marvel. And I've actually been going to read some of those comics because in some cases, I've never read these characters or I've never read these titles. And so I'm actually using the news as a little bit of a motivator for me to go continue exploring aspects of this hobby. And so Miracle Man is potentially going to be one that I read tonight because it's in the collection. I've never looked at it, and I want to be ahead of the curve should some magic actually happen with this one. So what is that? What is that? There you go. There you go. On top of it, man. I think I may have a Miracle Man issue #1. I don't know who the original owner was. I don't know who the original owner. It was actually, again, it was published in the UK originally. And I want to say that it's bounced around to a few different publishers. I did not write notes on the different publishers that it was with, but it could have been. It could have been Epic. It could have been Eclipse. I'm seeing a note here about Eclipse. So it could have been that one versus Epic, but it could have been at a few others as well, Mark. So I'm sure that someone in here may have already dropped some details on this already. So scrolling through, I remember passing up on a Miracle Man #1 last summer. There you go. At Doug's yard sale. Doug has now pulled that comic from the bin that it was originally in because it's probably still there. No one bought that. I think Miracle Man's one of those characters like who's read Miracle Man? I mean, I'm curious, and I'm not trying to slam the character, but has anyone actually read Miracle Man? I know that I haven't. I've never even thought about it, to be honest with you. I've never even thought about it. Yule, comic shop owner in here dropping knowledge. He says it's a clip, so it must be so. They should bring Blue Marvel. Hey, if you guys have not read Blue Marvel, treat yourself. 5 fantastic issues. 5 fantastic issues. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Scrolling through some of the comments here, you guys are getting on board. What is that? 1954 Marvel Man originally, according to Wikipedia, they actually changed it at one point to Miracle Man to avoid all of the controversy. And I think the way that it worked is that when it originally came out, like 1954, 1953, I can't remember the exact year. It was from a publisher that was publishing Captain Marvel, the Shazam version. And I guess something happened, and like the very next issue, he stopped publishing Captain Marvel, and he actually came out with Marvel Man, which is this character that we're talking about, that was later changed to Miracle Man, which was later then touched by Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman. It is now owned by Marvel. Like the character has a pretty interesting history. And I think potentially because he's been bopping around different publishers, no one's really invested the time, energy, and effort into the character. And that's potentially why he hasn't really shown up a lot. Maybe that's potentially why none of us have actually read it. And again, I haven't seen anyone comment to basically say that they've been reading a lot of it, but a lot of us do have copies. And like I said, I have a whole long box that I've never actually read. So scrolling through some of the comments here, I appreciate you guys filling in some of the details here. Thank you. Wikipedia and Google are our friends. Let me tell you that when it comes to some of this stuff. Yule, of course you did. Of course you did. You own a comic shop, brother. I expect you to read all things comic. No, teasing. Scrolling through, there we go. Okay, Alberto's getting on the board. He says he's read it. Oh man, you could be right, brother. You could be right. You could be right about that. There you go. There you go. It started in a British publication. Eclipse brought it to the US. There you go. I appreciate you guys being so quick to fill in. Let me see. Okay. Jared says, Reggie, you have a lot of money on that wall. In 30 years, you'll be a millionaire. That is, if I should live another 30. My wife may be a millionaire just from comics in about 30 years. Let me see. Randy Snake's getting on the board. He says he's read Miracle Man, the trade paperback, and it is a good read. You guys are going to encourage me to read it, man. I am going to take a look at it, to be honest with you, because that's part of how I use the news. I read these tidbits, which kind of pique my curiosity, and then I go read the comic, and I'm like, this comic's actually not bad. I've been reading a lot of stuff that I've never read before. I told you guys I started reading Swamp Thing from issue number 1 from the 80s. Have a ton of Swamp Thing in the collection. Never read a Swamp Thing comic. Read the first couple of issues. They're not bad. They're not bad. And that's one of the cool things about the news, comic book and collectible news, as well as the movies and TV shows. They, at least for me, they pique my curiosity into a character, into a team, into a title that I otherwise would have passed over. And then I go read it and I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty good. And that's hopefully how I will continue to be a well-rounded comic book reader and maybe even collector as well, because I think that sometimes what you read spills over to what you want to collect as well. Matt Woods getting on the board. He says, Blue Marvel is such a great read. Man, I'm going to tell you, if they bring him to the MCU, it could be amazing. It really could be. Because here's the thing. His girl is Monica Rambeau. Monica Rambeau is already in the MCU. Bring in the Blue Marvel. Bring in the Blue Marvel. I mean, albeit they didn't get together until much later, but still, bring them in. Bring them in. Let's make this magic happen with the Blue Marvel. All right. So the last thing that I want to do is I want to do a Patreon giveaway. I showed a bunch of these books. I cannot remember where I did it, but these are a bunch of books that I am going to be giving away to one lucky Patreon member, and I'm basically going to divide them up evenly. A bunch of Walking Dead books and a really awesome, I think this is a IG comic store purchase right here. Spawn, I think that's 301. Then we also have Marvel Comics 1000, really cool Daredevil cover there, and then also some graphic novels. So we have Stray Dogs, Nocterra, Redneck, and also Assassin Nation. So 2 lucky Patreon members are going to win this bundle of books that I have sitting on my desk. So let me go ahead and roll some dice. It has been a long time since I've done a random.org dice roll. I mean, it is crazy. So we have rolled 10. And we are going to randomize this list, and we are going to give away a couple of books to 2 Patreon members. Shout out to Patreon for continuing to support the channel and putting me in a position to do some really awesome stuff. So we rolled 10. We're going to randomize this thing real quick. That is 1. That's 2. Here's 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's going to be the top 2 people, 7 right there that are going to win. And I don't know where everybody is. I think most people are in North America, but we're going to bundle this stuff up and get it out. The winners of this month's Patreon giveaway are Wayne. Oh my goodness. I mean, I guess I know most people on the list pretty well. So Wayne McDonald and Doug Bratton are the top 2 winners. Shout out to both of you gentlemen. I appreciate both of you supporting the channel. I think Wayne has been one of the longest Patreon members, period. So shout out to you, brother. Congrats on scoring some pretty awesome books. So what I'll do is I'm going to divide these up kind of sort of evenly, and I'm going to get this stuff out to you in a timely manner. All right, let me scroll down. And again, shout out to all Patreon members. There are going to be some things that are going to be coming out from the channel over like the next maybe 3 weeks that are going to be a little new, going to be a little different. I've been trying to do some stuff. I've been trying to experiment. I've been trying to grow. I've been trying to push things forward. And I've been using Patreon money in order to do some of these things. And so it is important that I give credit to Patreon for giving donations to the channel to help put me in a position to be able to do some of this stuff. And I'm very thankful to each and every person. It doesn't matter if you're giving a lot of money or a little money. I am appreciative of every single name that is contained on that list. So I definitely appreciate it. All right. With that said, we are going to wrap this thing up. I want to again thank everybody that is hanging out with me for this very first live stream of 2022. I am very hopeful that we are going to have a successful year, much like the year that we just wrapped up. And I hope that everyone's year is off to a very good start. As always, if you guys need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.